Hey guys, Jason with Tyndale again. Today we're going to talk about Article 90.5. This section explains the differences between mandatory and permissive rules, explanatory material, as well as informative annexes. So let's get started with mandatory rules. Mandatory means it's specifically required or specifically prohibited. Terms like shall and shall not will always be used for these types of rules. Mandatory rules are there to keep your people safe, especially in high risk or unacceptable risk situations. Again, remember shall and shall not will be used for these, always. Now let's talk about permissive rules. These rules identify actions that are allowed but are not required. These rules are there to give you options or alternative methods of skinning the cat, if you will. It is important to note that these permissive rules equal or exceed typical safety standards in the 70E. These rules are characterized by the use of phrases such as shall be permitted or shall not be required. It is important to not get confused by the use of shall, right? Shall not be permitted, shall be permitted, instead of shall not or shall. Now let's talk about explanatory material and annexes. This is going to include materials such as references to standards other than the 70E. That might include references to we'll call it the three-legged stool of the NFPA 70, which is the National Electric Code, the NFPA 70B, which is the Standards for Electrical Maintenance, or 79, right? So all these publications kind of all tie together with the 70E, and not often, but they will refer to these other publications. It could even reference related sections in the 70E or information related to a rule in the 70E. You're going to find this explanatory material in two main forms. One of those is going to be in the informational notes, and those are scattered throughout the 70E. The other main source, which I would say is probably the main source, would be in the back of the 70E in all of the informational annexes. There is just a ton of useful information in there. It is important to note that informational notes and annexes are not enforceable. They are there for informational purposes only to help you understand. Now, while informational notes and annexes are not enforceable, it is very important to note that footnotes are not the same and are totally enforceable. For example, a footnote under Table 130.5C tells us that a normal equipment operating condition is only achieved if all of the 120.2B exception number 1 points are satisfied. More on that later. But you can have a lot of information that's useful. So that does it for 90.5. I don't want to get too much in the weeds on some other things. So stay tuned next time for Article 100. Pretty basics, going to talk about the definitions. And like I said before, we're going to start getting more and more exciting as we go along and start getting into the meat of the 70E. Thanks again for tuning in. We'll see you next time.